Tonight, Katie Beer's mom blasts the media and tells her side of the story.
I'm Reg Wells. Iraq remains defiant. Will President Bush launch another parting shot?
And then outraged rappers demand action in a case of alleged police brutality.
From the newsroom, this is Channel 9 News with Reg Wells, Gay Yee, and George Lindsay Young's weather.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, Katie Beer's mother is fighting mad.
And she's fighting for custody. Marilyn Beers told me her daughter hugged her, kissed her, and wouldn't let go of her for a good 20 minutes. The secret reunion took place last night, and today the mother says she'll battle to get back custody of Katie.
Now, if you want to give me an attitude, I'll give you one right back.
Marilyn Beers and her attorney came out fighting tonight, frustrated by what they say is the media's depiction of her as an irresponsible, unemployed, unwed mother who passed off her daughter Katie to friends who would take care of her.
What the press has been doing her and what the media has been doing to her is really making her feel horrible.
But 10-year-old Katie Beers disappeared December 28th after she went on an outing with family friend John Esposito, the man now charged with kidnapping the little girl and locking her in a hidden vault underneath his garage. This was Marilyn Beers' opportunity to, in her words, set the facts straight.
Well, I know I don't blame myself. The only one I really could put the blame on is Esposito. We both cried. I told her how much I loved her. She told me how much she loved me, and she couldn't wait to come home to, you know, her family and her friends and everything.
How did she look? Her condition, her health?
Did she look good? I had possible toxemia. I almost lost my daughter. I would have given my life to my daughter so she could have been born. I'd still give my life to my kids. Now you tell me, does that make an unfit mother? The love of her family. I don't think she needs to be in a foster home right now. I think she needs to be with me and her family. I know that's what she needs.
And the revelations from this shocking case continued today. It's being reported kidnapping suspect John Esposito paid Katie $500 to buy her silence before turning her over to the police this week.
And tonight, a story from Brooklyn you won't believe. A mother is charged with leaving her 2-year-old son home alone, naked and crying. A neighbor in the East Flatbush apartment building heard the cries and alerted police. It is not known how long the child had been left. The boy was taken to Kings County Hospital for examination. A bizarre shootout and suicide in Brooklyn. Police say it began with 2 men fighting at a social club in the Crown Heights section. One man pulled out a gun and shot and killed the other and wounded a woman. Several transit officers exchanged shots with the gunman, who then ran into an alley. And then police say he shot himself in the head. And an arrest in the Thanksgiving killing of a subway token clerk in Brooklyn. The suspect is 25-year-old Emmanuel Kelly of Nostrand Avenue. Police say they broke the case on tips from the public.
A chilling boast from a young man convicted of killing his parents. It comes from Matthew Heikela, who faces 30 years to life for each murder. The 22-year-old New Jersey man predicts he'll be released on appeal and won't die in prison.
Tonight, sweet freedom for an immigration agent who says he didn't belong in jail in the first place. Joseph Acapinta's sentence was commuted by President Bush. Now he is trying to clear his name. Pete Fuentes has more.
After 8 months, Joe Acapinti is finally home. Joe, a former U.S. immigration agent, arrived to his family and friends and, of course, photographers. Before this moment, Joe was best known for this picture, a federal prison mugshot and a record, 3 years for a felony crime.
They made some phone calls and...
This was his ticket out, a commuted prison sentence from President Bush.
I'm the first law enforcement officer in United States history to ever be prosecuted for an allegation of a nonviolent, unlawful search and seizure.
The conviction happened in June of 1991 here at Federal Courthouse in Manhattan. Acapinti was convicted of violating the rights of shop owners during searches for illegal aliens and drug dealers.
We've lost everything. We've lost my job. We've lost our life savings. We'll probably lose our home next, simply because I had the inclination to take on a major drug cartel.
Joe, the most decorated immigration officer in the country, believes he was framed by drug dealers
I'm disappointed in the system. I always believed it worked.
Joe's wife Angela and 3 daughters worked hard to get Joe back home and now face a new mission.
I have a personal responsibility not only to clear my name of any wrongdoing, but also to educate the American people about the power of foreign drug lords.
Joe got off to a running start today, meeting with the press and Staten Island Borough President Guy Molinari. Joe wants his sentence reversed, but tonight, after being away from his family for so long, Joe has other things to catch up on. In Manalapan, New Jersey, Pete Fuentes, Channel 9 News.
The St. Patrick's Day Parade is being threatened with a boycott by the people who used to run it. They'll ask the usual marching contingents to stay away. That's because New York City gave the parade permit to another group that will allow gays to march. Now, the former sponsors are also going to federal court to fight the city's refusal to give them that permit. A different kind of trouble for the New York Post, financial trouble, is publisher Peter Calico reportedly says a deal with an investor has fallen through, and the debt-ridden Post now faces a war for readers with the Daily News. The Post's chances for survival are at stake.
Defiance from a Hackensack doctor tonight. Dr. Warren Metzler practices homeopathic medicine. That means he does not diagnose or treat disease traditionally. He looks for spiritual or personal problems that cause illness. The State Board of Education suspended Metzler's license, but the doctor says he plans to keep on practicing.
I believe that we've reached a point where the average person can no longer feel comfortable guiding their life simply by what they can detect with their 5 senses. And by orthodox medicine saying you're only sick when you have a disease, they're encouraging you to ignore that there are other parts of you that are important for successful living.
The state says Metzler could face criminal charges if he practices without a license. Tonight, another standoff in the Gulf. The UN has rejected an Iraqi plan regarding UN flights, and that raises the specter of another Allied attack, all on the 2nd anniversary of the beginning of the Gulf War. U.S. forces in the Persian Gulf remain on high alert amid diplomatic maneuvering. The conflict now centers around safe passage for UN inspectors. Iraq's deputy prime minister today said Baghdad would guarantee safety of the UN flights as long as they do not pass through the no-fly zone.
We are challenging the no-fly zone. We are resisting the no-fly zone. We don't want to mix this legitimate struggle of the Iraqi people and the Iraqi government, to mix it with some minor skirmishes with the United Nations.
President Bush is at Camp David for his last weekend, where he met with Canadian Prime Minister Brian Mulroney. Bush says he was waiting for the UN response to Baghdad's latest offer.
His offer, his move just was announced, and we'll just have to wait and see how it's regarded. We don't do these things unilaterally. We consult. We'll be able to talk now with the Prime Minister. We'll be talking with others as well.
The President said the U.S. was not on the brink of renewing bombing of Iraq. Meanwhile, in Baghdad, a protest rally against the United States. The demonstration marked the 2nd anniversary of the Gulf War, and a new confrontation may be brewing along the border between Iraq and Kuwait. The UN is charging that Iraq has not met a deadline to remove 6 police posts on the border. Iraq says it was never notified of the deadline. And tonight, the White House says the Allies remain determined to make Iraq comply with those UN resolutions.
And coming up on Channel 9 News, Mr. Clinton heads to Washington and gets set for the big party.
Also tonight, rappers demand action in a case of alleged brutality.
But first, George takes a look at the weather. George.
Well, I'll tell you what, Gay, we had the clouds in here, we had the chilly temperatures, but it was dry nonetheless. Take a look at what's happening right now. Temperature-wise, sub-freezing at 31 degrees. Relative humidity, 47%. As far as the wind's concerned, from the north at about 4 miles per hour. And barometer right now, going down. 29, 91. 7 a.m. forecast. For Sunday morning, looking like this. Partly cloudy, chilly indeed. Temperatures near 30 degrees. When will the sun return? And what about chilly temperatures ahead? Yes, it's true. Details coming up later on in weather.
Where reported damage was light. And Dateline Kushiro, Japan, cleanup is underway after the worst quake in Japan in 10 years. 2 people killed, more than 400 injured. Damage widespread.
Italy, mayhem on a motorway. 7 people were killed in a 40-car pileup. It happened in a heavy fog about 60 miles north of Rome.
United Nations. Thousands of Greeks from all around the metropolitan area staged a noisy demonstration today. The protest centers around a dispute over the UN recognition of the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia.
4 days and counting. On Wednesday, Bill Clinton becomes the 42nd president of the United States. And today he embarked on the last leg of his historic trip to the White House.
When you need a friend.
Lean on Me was the theme as Clinton prepared to leave. It was an emotional farewell. Clinton asked his supporters for their prayers, and he expressed gratitude for everything Arkansas had done for him. Clinton flies to Charlottesville, Virginia. Then he begins a bus journey to the Capitol over the same route Thomas Jefferson took some 2 centuries ago. Earlier, he spent some of the day watching movers loading his possessions.
I'm ready to go now. I'm ready to go. Anxious, eager.
Problems have plagued Clinton in the final weeks of transition, campaign promises that might not be kept, and controversy over appointees. Zoe Baird, Clinton's choice for Attorney General, for one. Disclosure that she hired 2 illegal aliens has drawn criticism. Aides are now counting the days.
I think all of us are going to be relieved to have the transition and move on to the inaugural and the administration.
And we, of course, will have live team coverage of the inauguration all next week here on Channel 9 News.
A call for action today against the New York City Police Department. It stems from charges of brutality from the rap group Houdini. They claim their car was pulled over by cops. Then they were allegedly assaulted and the car was damaged by several police officers. No charges were ever filed.
This sends a signal even more damaging than Rodney King, because it says no matter what status one achieves, if you're an African American, you're fair game for those brutality-minded police. They did not charge them with anything. They didn't even bring them in. They left them on the ground after beating them. This is outrageous.
Now, police say the allegations are under investigation.
Monday is a holiday, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, and today in Austin, Texas, both sides of the fence turned out to mark the occasion. About 50 Ku Klux Klansmen staged a demonstration, and about 5,000 protesters were on hand to jeer, throw eggs, and shout the Klansmen down.
In Atlanta, things were a little bit more orderly. Thousands turned out for a parade honoring Dr. King. There were no disruptions.
Here in our area, about 500 people attended a breakfast in honor of Dr. King. The guests were men and women in labor, management, and education. Speakers praised the audience for exemplifying the ideals of Dr. King.
Up next tonight, George with the forecast.
And the astronauts get ready to take a walk. Stay with us. Denver's The Eagle and the Hawk was the space song of the day today. The tune tickled the ears of the Shuttle Endeavour crew this morning. Tomorrow, 2 crew members will be taking a Sunday stroll, a 5-hour walk in space. The walk will help astronauts practice for when NASA builds a space station.
What we're trying to address with this first in a series of generic EVAs is a better understanding of the limits of human performance in space. We are trying to identify the outer boundaries of what we can and cannot do.
The Endeavour astronauts are scheduled to land in Florida on Tuesday.
4 women skiers trekking across Antarctica have decided to stop in their tracks. The women reached the South Pole earlier in the week, but still had 900 miles left on their planned trip. Illness, injury, and weight loss forced them to end their quest. They were also afraid they would miss a ship scheduled to pick them up early next month at a naval base.
Very brave to be out there in the first place.
I'll tell you what, it's going to be much colder here during the next couple of days for sure. Arctic front getting ready to head in. Temperatures by midweek much colder right in the city in the teens. Here's what we have for you right now. Temperatures not nearly that cold. It is cloudy outside, 1 degree below freezing. Humidity right now 48%. Winds from the north and barometers headed down right now at 29.91. Good evening, everybody. Hey, when kids band together and say no to drugs, it's noteworthy. We want to congratulate them as part of the DARE program. Take a look at tonight's poster from the Channel 9 Weather Lab. Westbrook Middle School, grade 6, Paramus, New Jersey. A sensational DARE poster, and it's kind of a DARE drugs kill is the message on there. Outstanding work. Keep up the good stuff, and thanks to the Paramus Police Department. We got a news van stuck during the week, and they were there to the rescue. We certainly do appreciate it. All right, first of all, the radar summary. Come here. Let me show you what's going on. Just south of us here, here's a band of moisture. Upper level low right over portions of Virginia, sliding out to sea, putting us just on the fringe, but all of the moisture staying well to the south. Meanwhile, in California, Southern California specifically, they are being bombarded with moisture. San Diego, over 9 inches of rain so far on their season. Not a daily total, but this is what they have so far for their season. That is twice their normal of what they would normally have for this season. Snow continues in parts of the Rocky Mountains, 2 inches in Salt Lake City, an inch of fresh white stuff, Lakeview, Oregon. Meanwhile, stormy weather this morning across southern Florida, but again, all of the moisture staying to the south. For us, what we have to watch, this rascal right here. This is cold Canadian air pouring down. It'll be moving through our area by late tomorrow afternoon, and that means temperatures for the rest of the week much, much colder. Radar showing precipitation directly towards our south. Nothing for here. Dry the rest of the day, a little bit breezy in the afternoon tomorrow as the frontal system comes through. Here are the specifics now from the Channel 9 Weather Lab. Forecast time for tonight. Considerable cloudiness the rest of tonight. Temperatures in the middle to upper 20s. Now tomorrow, here's what we're looking at. Variable cloudiness, a dry day and seasonably cold. Highs for tomorrow in the upper 30s. And tomorrow night, partly cloudy, breezy, icy cold. Morning lows in the middle to upper 20s. All right, he takes long walks, eats small bones, and likes fluffy little poodles. His name is Gizmo the Weather Dog. And he says for tomorrow, you better bound your hound or your loved ones. Down the road, Monday through Thursday, here's what we have. Take a look at this, Reg and Gay. Temperature highs in the 30s, but morning lows much colder. Look at that, 20s and even teens by midweek. Wednesday's high, only 19 degrees. So it is going to be much, much colder. But the good news is an old friend of yours will return, the sun.
Ah.
Yeah, remember him?
Nice to see you today.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that game in San Francisco in Candlestick Park is going to be a mud bowl.
It's looking very, very soggy. More rain for San Francisco tomorrow.
Okay.
Well, coming up later on Channel 9 News, the Knicks try to shoot down the Rockets.
And hometown rivalry, the Devils face off against the Islanders.